Guys, today is going to be a really fun video because we are going to take care of the super loud, obnoxious exhaust that was on this Mustang GT. So basically the setup that's on there now is there is a cat delete done and there's no mufflers or anything like that. It looks like the system is made by Pipes, which they're a good exhaust company, but just no mufflers, no catalytic converters. It's super loud and almost impossible to drive it and actually enjoy it on the street. Sounds good depending on what you're into, but honestly I think it'll sound a lot better, have a lot better tone with some good mufflers. Okay, so the setup that we're gonna go with are these Super 44s by Flowmaster. I absolutely love these. I've looked up some videos on YouTube and found a setup similar to mine with the 4.6 liter GT, and the Flowmaster Super 44s sound pretty good on there. So we're gonna install it on this Mustang GT. We are going to go with a clamped on setup. That way, if I ever wanted to go back, I can just easily take the muffler off. I'll show you how you can do that. But yeah, we're gonna go with these clamps just because if I wanted to change it again, I can. Okay guys, so we ran into our first little speed bump here. This obviously is going to be too long for that little section of straight pipe, and it's cutting into the body. I definitely don't want to like have to hack up the body of the car just to get that to fit in there. So we're gonna go a little bit farther back in front of the axles, and there's a longer straight part that I should be able to throw this thing right into. If not, there's also an easier section where it goes from the X pipe to the little mid pipe back here that goes over the axles. And I might even be able to just shorten those up a little bit and then fit those in there. So we're gonna crawl into the car and remove the next section of pipe here. Okay, so I've got the next piece out. I cut it right through here. That was the only way that I could get this out of the car without having a lift, because this is all one giant piece that goes over the axle. But as you can see, we have plenty of room here to make something work. So it's gonna be a very tight fit, very small clearance around the drive shaft and the other exhaust pipe on the other side. It's possible we may run into some clearance issues, but we're gonna go ahead and get this sized up, get it on there, and see if we can make this setup work. Just gonna draw a line straight down from here. That's gonna be where the pipe will seat inside of here. So we have plenty of overlap. You'll make a little cut in here. That way your clamp will go down and be able to actually clamp around this pipe. All right, so as you can see, I got that section cut out. I got the muffler fit in there. I haven't mocked it up in the car yet. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. All right, so we're getting the other side mocked up, and these are the cuts that I'm talking about. I don't know if you guys can see those or not, but you just put one on each side and then spin it 90 degrees and then do straight through on each side over there as well. And then when the clamp goes on there, it'll pull all those pieces together and create a better seal around the pipe. Okay, so now let's get up under there and see if we can get these mufflers situated. That way they're not going to cause any kind of interference with the drive shaft or the other mufflers and create that nasty rattling sound. So let's get up under there, install these, and see what we can do. All right, we have one more piece of exhaust that goes from the axle all the way to the tip here. So let's go ahead and throw that on there and see what everything looks like. Okay guys, it's all installed. It all looks pretty good. We have very little clearance down there, as you can see. So we're gonna lower this thing down and see just how close it is. All right, we are actually clear down there. We're gonna have to do something to keep those up off the ground, but let's go ahead and see what it sounds like. Okay, so I went out and I did some testing, and there was all kinds of rubbing and everything. There was also scraping on the ground, which is not good. So I had them kind of sitting side by side, but canted upward, and then I kind of had them offset. That way there'd be more room to like kind of, you know, angle them and all that stuff. And regardless of what way I had them positioned, there was still very little ground clearance. So I took it out for one little test rip. Everything was fine. And then probably a few hours later, the wife and I left to try to go get some food, and it just immediately started scraping. So I don't know if it was like with the heat and everything settling. With that being said, Summit Racing came in clutch again with their super fast shipping. It's honestly incredible. It was over the Memorial Day weekend. So, all right, so these are more like a low profile bullet design, I think is what they call them. So it's like a bullet muffler. But these are a Flowmaster FlowFX. It's also perfectly straight through, which is going to help with performance. I'll explain why whenever I pull the other mufflers back off of there. I imagine that this is not gonna be as quiet as the ones that I had in there now, so might be a little noisy, but we're gonna throw them in, and I've heard some really good things about these, so we're gonna try them here on the Mustang. The length of this should be perfect to where I can just take the other mufflers out of there and just pop these right in. Of course, I do have to make some cuts here just to be able to mount them and clamp them, but we're gonna go ahead and pull the other mufflers off of there. Okay, so I've got these out finally. One thing I realize every single time I crawl under here is how badly I want a 2-post lift, so that's gonna be something that is gonna be a must in the future. But so if you look down in there, it is not straight through. You can't see daylight on the other end. You can actually see kind of where they've been installed in there, but they kind of go at an angle here, and that's what helps keep the sound down. Now compare that to the one that we're getting ready to throw on there. Straight through it, no obstructions, anything like that. So the purpose of your exhaust is to efficiently get rid of all of the exhaust fumes, obviously. That's why you see improvements in performance when you take off obstructive things like catalytic converters, mufflers even. So where you're going to get the most performance is going to be the smoother and the more efficiently that it's able to get rid of the exhaust fumes with no obstructions or anything. So that's where this comes into play. But yeah, FlowFX, Flowmaster. We're gonna go ahead and cut these crisscross just like we did the other ones and install them on the car, start it up, and see what it sounds like. All right, I'm gonna show you the setup here. Much better. Much better. Everything's symmetrical, plenty of ground clearance so far. I mean, it's obviously still in the stand, so I'm gonna go ahead and move all my tools, get this thing off jacks, and see what it looks like then. Okay, I think we have plenty of clearance now. That's gonna be like 4 or 5 inches probably. And it's just as low as some of the suspension components. So if those touch the ground, we got some problems. I'm gonna start this thing up. There was a bunch of like super loud noise inside the vehicle whenever I had this set up with no catalytic converters and no mufflers, which is how I bought this thing. So it's kind of annoying to drive the thing around on the interstate and try to have a conversation. It's just stupid loud. That is probably one of my favorite things about exhaust work is you never know exactly how it's gonna sound until you fire it up. So anyways, I'm gonna get the camera set up and we'll go for a little spin. So we're gonna go for a little spin here. I gotta be careful because there's a new project in the driveway that I can't show you guys yet until the next video. But we do have some wet conditions, so I'm not gonna go too crazy, but oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. That's about 2,000 RPM. It sounds good. You can talk over it easily, so I feel like I'm not having to yell like I was before, so let's see what we can do. A little bit slippery there. It sounds good though. It sounds really good. So it's like on the higher RPM, it's doing a lot of work, but on the lower RPM, when it's just sitting there at idle, it sounds really good. It sounds rowdy. The sound while I'm driving around is much lower, which is nice because I can actually have a conversation. Less chances of getting pulled over because of loud exhaust. Overall, a better sound and a better driving experience. I haven't told anybody about the project in the driveway except for like friends and family. And the mufflers that I used on here for the first setup that were dragging the ground, those are gonna go on that setup later, so those will get used. As usual, every product that's used in this video will be listed in the description section below. Make sure you stay tuned for more updates on everything. There's plenty of projects going on around here, especially the one out in the driveway. Other than that, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the exhaust setup, and I will see you guys in the next video.